Madeleine died on the 3rd of May 2007, and on that same evening, Madeleine went into the ground.
Stephen Birch tem 47 anos e é a figura do dia. Este empresário sul-africano diz ter descoberto os restos mortais de Maddie numa propriedade a escassos metros do aldeamento Ocean Club, de onde a menina desapareceu a 3 de maio de 2007. Stephen baseia a sua teoria no que diz ter sido mais de 1 ano e 3 meses de investigação. A investigação ficou concluída nos últimos 15 dias, altura em que se deslocou ao Algarve para recolher o que considera ser a conclusão da sua pesquisa. Veio com mais 2 sul-africanos e, inclusive a Vilma May, entraram numa propriedade privada, fazendo uma prospecção da área onde julgam estar o corpo de Maddie. O Expresso confirmou, junto de um geólogo, que a máquina utilizada para fazer o scan do terreno é a tecnologia mais avançada que existe para esse efeito atualmente. Também confirmamos com o mesmo especialista que o resultado dessa prospecção revela que existe alguma coisa enterrada no local, embora não seja possível identificar o quê, o que significa que pode ser qualquer coisa e não necessariamente os restos mortais de Madeleine McCann. Conheça Stephen Birch numa entrevista exclusiva ao Expresso, dada no aeroporto de Lisboa quando regressava à África do Sul, dia 28 de junho.
I became interested in the case about a year ago and started reading about the case and realized that a tremendous effort had been put in by the Portuguese police and the British police in trying to solve the case. And it was then that I decided that I wanted to see if I could help. And I began reading all the available documentation about the case, approximately 12,000 pages, and it took me about a year at great financial and emotional cost to myself. Initially my team was 4 people, but when I came to Praia da Luz, I had to bring IT people with me who were specialized, who assisted me with regard to the technical aspect of undertaking this investigation, and also setting up all the machinery required to be able to do what we did. We brought very sophisticated machinery in. We brought a Marlow ground penetrating radar machine in, and basically the machine locates cavities in the ground where ground has been disturbed, and the machine can then show you subsurface conditions of the ground, and it was through the use of this machine that we believe that we've located the remains of Madeleine. You know, without the technology, one only has a hypothesis. One of the things that I did do was I undertook a significant amount of mapping of the area to determine the routes and distances, and I overlaid those maps in terms of activities and various things that occurred in that area, and that it certainly narrowed down the options as to where Madeleine could be buried. But at the end of the day, it was technology that confirmed my hypothesis and my suspicions. Our investigation has shown that Madeleine's remains are buried beneath a rear second driveway of the property known as Casa Leona in Praia da Luz. Well, Casa Leona is a large property, it's a large villa. And it has a very large driveway on the northern side of the property. But this area where Madeleine is actually buried, a new driveway, a secondary, less important driveway, was constructed over her. I personally don't believe that driveway serves any purpose. It's a small little driveway, you can hardly turn a vehicle on it, and it's covered in pebble stone. And so I believe that this second driveway on the property was constructed over her. The property is approximately 174 meters away from where Madeleine went missing, and I certainly believe that Madeleine's remains lie buried beneath that driveway. The scans from the machine presented 3 hyperbola on the scans, and they clearly show that something is buried approximately between 400 and 650 millimeters below ground level. What happens when a body decomposes is that it shrinks in size, leaving a cavity which was the original area where the body was. And it's that cavity that we are looking for when we use that type of equipment. Without going into too much detail, my hypothesis is based, and I agree with Mr. Amaral, who put a tremendous effort into this case, that Madeleine's body went into the ground that same evening. In other words, I don't believe that Madeleine's body was transported in a motor vehicle 23 days later. Madeleine died on the 3rd of May 2007, and on that same evening, Madeleine went into the ground. The investigation was made very difficult by various factors. The first factor was that the bulk of the witnesses actually left the crime scene and went back to their respective countries, being England. It makes an investigation very difficult when one has to conduct an investigation and your witnesses evaporate into thin air and go home to their countries. That's the first problem. The second problem was language. Language, the Portuguese investigators having to interview English-speaking witnesses, and then also having to rely on British investigators to conduct questions on their behalf, made it very difficult for them, because in an investigation, an investigator normally would be able to change his questions at the spur of a moment. When one is undertaking questions over a long distance, it makes it very, very difficult. And then the third factor that made it very, very difficult for this investigation was the tremendous international response that occurred worldwide and all the various sightings that occurred. I believe that this had a negative effect on the investigation, whereas the investigation should have been narrowed down to the Praia da Luz area. It spread out and became an international investigation, putting pressure on the availability of resources for the police. The equipment that I brought, the Marlow ground penetrating radar machine, is probably one of the best machines in the world. I cannot say whether the Portuguese police have equipment of that standard or better, or whether this was just a case of them just having missed a body, which is quite easy under the circumstances. Madeleine was only 90 centimeters tall, weighed 18.5 kilograms, and if folded half, she would only be 45 centimeters, which is quite easy to miss something of that size in a large property. If they decide not to undertake the excavation, they could take legal action against me for illegally trespassing on the property, not once but 4 times. So I've decided to fly back to South Africa, release the information worldwide on the internet, and then hope and plead that the Portuguese police will immediately obtain a necessary warrant, enter the property, excavate the site, and exhume the remains. If they are successful, I will have no problem in returning back to Portugal to assist them further with their investigation. I've appointed 2 major legal firms to represent me. The first is DLA Piper in London. My attorney there is Eben Black. And then in South Africa, I've appointed DLA Cliff Decker Hofmeyer. Both firms are, and I'm represented there by Toby Jordan. Both firms are very large international legal firms, and they will both be acting and representing me in this matter. I've been working more than a year on this case. I'm exhausted, I'm tired. It has cost me a lot of money, and I'd like to see closure on this case for all parties concerned. Yeah, I think I'd like to see closure on behalf of everybody.
A polícia portuguesa encontra-se a analisar estes dados, como aliás garantiu ao Expresso que analisou todos os dados que lhes chegaram sobre o caso Medi nos últimos 5 anos. Entretanto, a Scotland Yard já pediu a Stephen Birch para lhe enviar mais material no sentido de examinarem a consistência da teoria deste sul-africano. Esteja viva e cativa ou morta e enterrada, o certo é que Medi continua a suscitar o interesse de várias pessoas à volta do mundo. O último foi precisamente Stephen Birch, que já investiu milhares de euros nesta investigação.